To get the most out of the FCS sales system, you have to take the time to set up a few critical components that allow for consistent use across all of your users. You'll also need to take the time to define the product that you intend to measure. The next few minutes will allow you to have a greater understanding of how to get your system set up properly. All right, now it is time to set you up in the FCS sales module so that you can get the most out of it and align it as closely as possible with your current sales systems. After we log into the core, we are going to dive right into the toolbox. From the toolbox section, you're going to select admin. The first thing that you're going to set up is sales settings. There's a few things here, the first being activity object met report label. We're going to go into that in a little bit more detail later. The primary thing that you'll set up is the opportunities products. So these are the different products that you'll track within the system in the different reporting that takes place inside of the FCS Sales Pro CRM. The default products are roof replacement, roof repair, service dispatch, and quick bid. In the future, you can add your own products that will allow you to be able to track different sales efforts for different products. This is an advanced feature, and I recommend that you get into the product and actually use it for a while and make sure that these products need to be tracked individually. The next are saved document templates, and these document templates can be added or they can be edited, and they're going to be accessible for all users. This is a universal space where you can build these documents, but you can also build them inside of the individual records as you do proposals in the Documents tab. The next is Company Proposal Templates, which is a setting that allows you to change the interface of the Quick Bid mobile point of sale tool. Next is Recommendations Templates, which allow you to set up default language inside of your inspection reports so that all of your teams are working from the same language. After we're done with that, we're going to go back to the primary list of admin features, and we're going to go down to your default deficiency list. The system comes with deficiencies that will already appear inside of your FCS Inspect devices. However, you can edit these default deficiencies or you create your own from scratch. You'll have the opportunity to add pricing per unit for each of these deficiencies, and your FCS instructor can go into more detail on that. The next thing that you're going to set up is these objective met options for the prospecting report. Now, we mentioned a little bit of this in the beginning, but this allows you to be able to have your salespeople do prospecting calls, and when they meet a successful objective, they're able to have access to a drop down of those objectives so that they can select which objective that they met. You can add an option, and if the objective was to get a meeting, the option name would be simply meeting. When anyone makes a sales prospecting call and they meet their objective, they'll have an opportunity to select these options from their dropdown so that you can be able to track them in the prospecting report, which can be accessed in the toolbox to be able to track how your individual users are doing in attracting new opportunities within your company. All of the individual objectives met are listed here, and you'll be able to see each of the individual users and how successful they've been in each of these categories. If we want to see how many meetings this particular user set, we can click on it and we would be able to get a very quick outline of exactly what they were able to accomplish. Our next setting is back in administration. We click the toolbox, we click admin, and we go down to user administration. Here we have the opportunity to add new users by clicking this button, and essentially are brought to a screen that looks something like this. They'll fill out the name, email, arrive at a password, give the individual a title. It's important that you put the phone number and the cell provider because a lot of the notifications are pushed via text. You can upload a headshot, and that appears on all the sales reports, as well as a signature block that will appear on all of the different documents they create within the system. It's important that these two fields display the number of records that they can see on any given time so that they will be able to have access to the information inside of their system. The higher the number, the more that can affect the speed at which the pages load. The simplest way to work through all of these different settings is by using a user profile. User profiles allow you to select the position of the individual you're setting up, and in most cases, it will select the majority of the options for that individual user. The first is to enable the account. If you ever have anyone leave the sales team or leave the company, you'd want to uncheck this box so they didn't have access. Log into admin gives them higher level privileges and would only be applicable to a manager. Can export to Excel is a significant duty, and it's a responsibility to be able to ensure that individuals can't take lists out of the company that don't have the authority to do so. On sales activity report places them on the sales activity report. Can edit ops, allows them to work into the operations side so that when the operations team is working on their project, they have the ability to review and impact reports sent to your clients. If they're an account manager, this box should be checked so that they appear in the account manager dropdown for individual companies. Can view or edit payroll if they're responsible for other people. Can replace property aerial image is a high-level privilege, and replacing aerial and property images can have a profound impact and loss of history on a record. So once again, it's a critical environment. On PowerBoard is typically not utilized for people who are on the sales side. It is reserved for people who work on the service side of the business. A few of the other listings can flag companies as bad credit history if they are working with them and not getting the results and the payments that they're supposed to. On commission report will actually allow the system to track commissions if you've purchased that module. But here's where we get into some real important numbers. And this is the focus and the weekly goals for each of the individual salespeople, starting with the amount of sales that they should secure in any given week, how many meetings that they're expected to go on, how many quick bids they're supposed to present, how many phone calls or contacts are expected within a given week, and how many inspections that they present, which is the primary driver for creating opportunity. On prospecting report, we'll display the different goals and objectives met that you've set up. Here's the one that we set up for a weekly meeting. If you want them to book 4 meetings a week, you'll place that in there, and that will show up on all the different reports. On serviceman list is probably not going to be required for salespeople. Add and schedule a to-do activity after completing an inspection allows the system to automatically set a follow-up form. Can approve final inspections or pre-inspections. Means that if they send a technician on a roof, they have the ability to force those technicians to go through an approval process that includes the sales rep. When we get to alerts, our recommendation is that you do system alerts, and you can hover over the question mark to get some input on exactly what that means. We recommend that you don't do email alerts, but you do text alerts, because you'll receive texts that an inspection approval is required, even if you're on a phone call or don't have your email open. Service dispatch created would typically be for a service manager who wants to be able to track the amount of activity that's taking place on the service side of the business. Service dispatch approval is typically going to be reserved for service managers. Each time an inspection is scheduled for an individual, they can receive a text alert. Each time a meeting or a phone call is scheduled for them, they can receive a text alert. When a customer sends an email from the customer portal, it's probably a good idea to be able to receive those emails. Service dispatches get emailed. If you want to track how well service is taking care of your clients, you would check. If you want to track how the individual technicians are sending out service dispatch proposals, you can be copied on that. You can be copied when project start emails go out for the roof replacements, project projects that you put into production. You can see their daily reports that go out, or every time that a quick bid is created, you can have the ability to view it. After making all of these different individual settings, make sure that you click Update User. When you're finished, you're going to want to go to Toolbox Administration. Inside of Toolbox Administration, you're going to have the opportunity to ensure that all of the individuals that are on the sales team have access to the tools that make sense for their position. If you want, you can turn all of the tools on and then just turn on the tools that would apply to them. So when they click on the toolbox icon, they're not overwhelmed by different tools. Our recommendations would be the attachment library, the prospecting report, the sales activity report, time card for sales individuals, and time card master for sales managers. If you want to be able to access the FCS contract dashboard, that can be turned on. If you want to get to production detail reports, you can turn this on. If the salesperson is going to use estimate, they need this on. Power Board and Power Calendar are typically reserved for service individuals. Sales commission report, again, only for those individuals who have purchased that product. Warranty report is a service initiative, and FCS University is a tool that should be enabled. The only other thing that would have to be enabled for salesmen would be inspection approval if they want to be able to approve all of the inspections that take place for their clients, and also dispatch approval. Now, for individuals who are tech savvy, you may want to simply choose all on. If we go back and look at the toolbox, only the icons will appear that were selected. We're logged in to student demo, and they have all of the tools that are turned on. Now, if we're really going to dial in each of these sales individuals, we can click on this gear icon while we're inside of the toolbox, and we can only place the tools on their tool belt that apply to their position. So if they wanted to be able to have the things that matter the most to salesmen, it would begin with the sales activity report. If they work within the prospecting efforts, then they would have to have a prospecting report. The only other tool that might make sense to put onto this dashboard for a salesman would be an estimate tool if they actually perform estimates within the system. After we X out this icon, we have the ability to see the different tools that become available to them. Once again, they can always click on the toolbox and be able to access them there too.